Hey YouTube, Bernard here from Weekly How, and welcome back to another episode of Shopify app development tutorial series. It sounded like we're about to discover something awesome, but yeah, this is going to be a pretty interesting video because today we're going to teach you how to connect your Shopify app to your database, and we're going to learn together how to store your access token to the database. So whenever you install your Shopify app, you won't have to copy and paste the access code to the PHP code. So obviously that's not how application works, right? So yes, today we're going to do that. But before we get started, we'll assume once again that you have watched our previous videos, our previous tutorials, and you know already how to set up your Shopify apps. And the only thing we're going to do in this video is to connect your Shopify app to the database and save the access token. That's it. So if you haven't watched yet the previous tutorials, do so and go back to this video once you're ready. Okay, so a couple days ago, someone commented on our article, and it's Anthony. He says, "I'm confused why you hard coded the access token and site URL. Once in production, we will not be able to hard code the user's values. How do we go about storing and retrieving these values in production? Thanks for your time." So obviously, yeah, he's right. You don't have merchants don't have to copy and paste the access token, the URL to the PHP code. Obviously, they can't do that. The only thing we can do this to solve this issue is to use database to store access token. So whenever merchants install the app, the Shopify app, our script will gather all the information that we need, like access token and the shop URL, and we're going to store that in a database, and we're going to use those data to confirm that they're actually the merchant. So yeah, we're going to learn this together, so let's get started. Okay, so to start connecting your Shopify app to your database, obviously you need a web host. So if you're developing locally using Laravel and such, you can do that with Node.js or whatever. But in our case, we're going to do this with our host. So in this video, we're going to use Hostinger. Important side note, this video is not sponsored by Hostinger, and we just really love this web host because it's compatible with Shopify app development and is very easy to use. So if you are looking for web host, I highly recommend you to use Hostinger, and you can try this with Share Web Host if you're just testing or whatever. It's really cheap. In just a couple of dollars, you can have a web host, but be sure to get an SSL certificate because connecting your website to the Shopify app is really important that you have SSL certificate. So let's get started. Okay, so once you're in hosting account dashboard, you can create your database over here in the database section, and then you can select MySQL database and create a MySQL database, obviously. Once you are in MySQL database, you can create a new MySQL database and database user. So over here, you can select which database name you want and which MySQL username you want, and you can type it, the password. You can use generate if you can't think of the password that you want to use. So for example, over here, we have like example database, and over here as well, you have example. And then over here, you can select generate, and then you can just scroll this and make sure the password strength is high so it's much secure. So let's copy this password and let's put it in notepad so we can use that later on. So this is the password, and our username will be this text and then example. So this will be our username, our database name, and this will be our password. And yeah, this is just for example, guys, okay? So I'm not going to use this for apps or whatever. This is just for example. Once the database is successfully created, you can see it over here in the list of current MySQL database and users. Over here, you have the MySQL database, the user, and the host. So for now, let's go to our FTP and then create the new files that we need for connecting to the database. All right, so we're here now in FileZilla. We're going to create files here for connecting to the database. So to do that, let's go to INC. If you don't have INC folder, you can create. And obviously, if you have watched our previous tutorials, you will have INC, obviously. So over here, let's create a new file and let's call it connect.php. Alright, so once you have created your file, let's open that and add it using our favorite text editor. Yeah, let's start by PHP And then let's declare variables, for example, server or username. No, server or host. I'm sorry. Over here is text. We're going to copy here local host. And then over here in the next line, we're going to declare another variable. Let's call it username. And we're going to copy. But yeah, let's do it later. Let's declare all the variables that we need. So password as another string, and then database name, db name. Oh, that's right. There you go. And then next, we're going to declare another variable for MySQL function. So let's declare MySQLi connect, and then let's put our host, and that was the next one is username, and then the next one is password, and then the next one is the db name, obviously. There you go. And then let's end up with a comma and semicolon. Don't forget semicolon is really important. Some people always forget semicolon, but not me though. Yeah, let's put an if over here. If the connection was not successfully uh, process, then we're going to call die function, and let's say connect was not successful. There you go. You can also put a reason over here, like MySQLi connect error, connect underscore error, and then close that with parentheses, and then also semicolon, don't forget that. And after that, once we're done, we're going to give this variables all the values that we need, and it's all over in our notepad over here. So let's copy this one and paste it over here in username and db name, and the password is this one. Let's copy that, and then save that, and go back to your FileZilla and make sure it's uploaded. Okay, so if you don't see any error in your script, you can continue by going to the database and open phpMyAdmin and create all the database, all the tables you need for taking access token and the shop URL. So let's do that. So let's go to our MySQL database, and then make sure you open phpMyAdmin. Okay, so we're now here in our phpMyAdmin. So the first thing we're going to do is to actually create table. So let's go over here in SQL instead of creating table over here, but you can do it as well over here. So for example, you create table here. Let's call this like sample underscore table, something like that. But we're not going to do that. Let's do that with SQL code because I'm used to that instead of just creating manually by user interface. So let's, for example, we create table, and then let's call this example underscore table, and then open parenthesis, make sure the ID is an int, and then the value is 8 bit, and then make sure it's unsigned, and then make sure it's auto increment, and then make sure it is a primary key, primary, and then space key. It's important. It's not underscore but space. Okay, remember that. And then comma, and next one we're going to create store underscore URL. We need that, and then make sure it is a var char, and then make sure it has like 255 value, and then this is not null. And then next variable, is access, whatever you call that, variable or table or data or column, and then access token is another varchar, and then I don't know actually to pronounce it. Is it varchar or varchar? Yeah, but anyway, this is not null. And then all right, so comma, next one is install date. Let's call it install date, much shorter than uh, installation date. So date and time, and there you go. So we have create table, example table, and we make sure that we have ID, and it's an unsigned, auto increment, it's primary key, and then store URL, varchar 255 value, it is not null, access token, another varchar, and then 255 not null install date datetime. I don't know. So everyone is having the argument that it's pronounced varchar and then varchar. Why would it be pronounced anything else? That's what it says. We don't pronounce cat as chat, don't we? So yeah, it's varchar. I have no idea. But yeah, let's pronounce it like varchar instead. Sorry for that. But yeah, we're done with this. Let's press go and yeah. All right, so MySQL returned an empty result, and we've successfully created example table over here. You can click that. Over here we have the ID, store URL, access token, and installation date. So we're going to use all of these columns for our Shopify app. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is to open generate token.php. So go open that in your root folder of your project. Over here, we're going to add another line of code, which is require once, and then just the same inc folder, and then underscore that was connect.php. Just keep in mind that if you call your file connect underscore MySQL or MySQL connect, make sure your file name is the same as the require once. Otherwise, you'll get an error. So over here, we have the API key, we have the shared secret, and all of the data that we need for creating access tokens. Over here as well, there's a condition. If this is legit, then we continue. We create access token, and there you go. We get here the access token. So we're looking for the shop URL. So as you can see, we don't have. Oh, we have here the parm shop. Okay, so we actually need this one. So yeah, let's declare a variable over here. Let's call this shop URL is equal to params, and then angle brackets, and then shop. There you go. So we need that, and the access tokens right over here. So we're not going to echo our access token anymore. Let's comment that out. Next thing we're going to do is to actually create a variable like SQL, and then we're going to insert into example underscore table, if you remember the table name, and then open parentheses, make sure you store first the URL, the store URL. So obviously our ID is auto increment, so you don't have to actually add ID over here and then add another value over there. You don't have to do that. So yeah, store URL and then comma over here for access token. This is actually pretty exciting. All right, so access token underscore comma install underscore date. There you go. Next is we're going to add value and then open parentheses and single quotation mark, single quotation, and then comma, single quotation, comma, and then make sure you call the now function for MySQL. There you go. So we have two values here that are empty. We need to add something here. So let's open that through using double quotation mark and make sure you add dot. All right, so we're going to use dot to dot for concatenation, and then we're going to call shop URL variable, and over here as well we're going to concatenate double quotation mark, and period, and we're going to call access token. There you go. Now we have insert into example table, store URL, access token, install date, and then value. The value of store URL is shop URL, and then access token is the access token, which is this one. And then we're going to give install date a value of now, which is as soon as you install the app, you'll get date from now function. Let's end that with semicolon, and let's call MySQL query. So let's make it a condition. So if MySQL underscore query, and then over here, let's put our con, which is the variable from connect.php over here. We're going to use this variable. So con and then comma, and let's put over here SQL. And make sure you put space over here so it's much cleaner. And then curly braces, And then over here, let's make an else statement. And there you go. Over here in if my SQLi query is successfully processed, then we're going to redirect our merchants to their Shopify store. So location, space, make sure you have space over here. A lot of people have trouble with that. HTTPS slash slash and then concatenate params, and then no angle bracket, then shops, or you can just use your shop URL, shop URL, and then period, and then single quotation mark slash admin slash apps. So as soon as the merchant installed our app, they will be redirected to their Shopify admin page in apps. So yeah, let's end up with semicolon. Make sure there's exit function. And over here, if MySQL is not successful, then we're going to display an error. So for example, error inserting, error installation, and we're going to display why is it an error. So MySQL MySQLi underscore connect. No, it's not connect. Just error. There you go. And then make sure you put over here the con variable connect, and there you go. That's it. We're going to save that, and let's go back to our Shopify app. Alright, so before we install our app, let's uninstall our app over here, because as far as I can remember, I have installed it. So let's uninstall that and let's remove this app, and then yeah. Alright, so once you're successfully remove your app, let's go back to our page over here and make sure install shop and then weekly how. So I'm going to browse this URL, and as you can see over here, there's no result yet, right? So once we install our app, there should be data stored in our database. So let's open that. All right, so we've successfully installed our example app. Let's go back to our database and see if it actually stored the access token and then the shop URL. So over here in our database, let's refresh this. And there you go. Now we have our first data in our database. The store URL is weeklyhow.myshopify.com, and this is our access token. Now, the question is, now that we have stored our access token, what are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do next? How are we going to use this data to actually have access to the Shopify app? So to do that, we're going to open our index.php and then edit some code. All right, so this is our index.php. So the only thing we have here is our require once and then our token and then shop URL. We actually need to change the value of this access token to the access token which is stored in our database. This one as well, we're going to change this one. So to do that, we're going to add require once again over here, and let's call inc slash connect.php. There we go. And then next thing we're going to do is to actually get our database. So to do that, we're going to call SQL variable and then a string, and make sure you select all from example underscore table where shop or store URL is equal to concatenate params, and then shop limit 1. Let's end that with semicolon. As you can see, we still don't have the variable params over here, so let's do that. Actually, instead of params, let's just use request instead. Over here, request shop. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is to declare another variable, which is result is equal to MySQLi query. And then open parentheses, let's make variable, let's call variable con, comma, and then SQL. And if it is successful, then we're going to gather all the data from that result. So MySQL I underscore fetch underscore row and then open parentheses and then result. There you go. And then with semicolon, and then we're going to echo our row and then store underscore URL, and then we're going to echo another data which is row angle brackets and then access underscore token. There you go. Let's save that and let's open our Shopify app and see if it actually works. We've actually made a mistake. It's supposed to be not MySQL I fetch row. It's supposed to be just a sock. So row variable is equal to MySQL I fetch a sock. So let's save that and then let's open our Shopify app once again. And there you go. Now we have actually gathered all the data from database to our Shopify app. So over here we have our store URL and this is our access token. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this weekly how teaching you how to connect your Shopify app to your database. If you have questions, let us know in the comments below and we'd love to have an interaction with you guys, conversation related to Shopify app. So thank you guys so much for watching and we'll see you in the next video.